Hey everybody, it's Chris, and today I have two guests, Bob and Fran Gurman, an aspiring couple who are both in their 80s, and they have both overcome life-threatening diseases, kidney cancer and myasthenia gravis. And they did that switching to a whole food, plant-based diet 15 years ago. And according to them, there's no question that this diet helped them heal their bodies. And it's no surprise to me. And so I'm excited to have them on and share their stories so you can understand it. It's never too late. It's never too late to change your life, to change your diet, and to help your body heal. And if you're feeling discouraged, if you've been struggling with a chronic disease for a long time, and doctors have told you that there's nothing you can do to help yourself, and that your best option is a lifetime of medications, drugs to maybe alleviate the side effects, I want you to know you have options and there's hope. Your body can heal, and if you're willing to change your life, you can heal. So I'm excited to interview Bob and Fran. They also have a YouTube channel called Young at Any Age. So, hey, welcome.
And thank you very much. And thanks for inviting us on the show. We feel pretty honored because you have a very big following, and it's our pleasure to be here.
And we feel like we know you because we remember when we first saw you, and what was it? Chris Beats Cancer?
No, it was the Truth About Cancer. So
Cancer.
we have followed you for a number of years, and your story is fantastic, and it gives hope to people. And really, that's what we're about. And it doesn't matter what age you are. We made this switch when our lives were threatened in our mid-60s. So now it's over 15 years later, and actually we feel better than ever in our whole lives. We have more energy probably than most people half our age, and we just enjoy every day. So we sort of feel that what you eat really reflects on how you will look and how you will feel. So kind of keep that in mind. And with your okay, Chris, I think we could start telling a little bit of our personal health journeys. And
Yeah, let's do it. I'd love to know who came first, who got sick
I came
first.
I'm older. I came first.
That's true.
3 months older. Okay, so back in 1992, in the fall of 1992, I woke up one morning and I couldn't open one eye. Now, I'd been having some very minor muscular changes, but nothing of any consequence. But that morning, I couldn't open one eye. We were living in South Florida at the time, and went to the doctor. He took one look at me and he said, "Fran, I think you have Bell's palsy." And I looked at him and I said, "No, I think I have myasthenia gravis."
What's that?
Now, Chris, I have no idea where this came from because hardly anybody even knows about this disease.
Well, how did you know about it?
I don't know how
We
I
don't
knew
know.
about it. My inner wisdom, whatever. So he sent me across the street to the neurologist. Neurologist gave me what's called a tinselin test. It was a shot in my arm and my eye popped open, and he confirmed that my diagnosis was right. And that began my journey of drugs. And I was told initially that myasthenia gravis is incurable. It will shorten my life, and I will always be on medication. Myasthenia gravis is a Greek name meaning severe muscle weakness or grave muscle weakness. And that's exactly what it was. Not only couldn't I keep my eyes open, my vision was so double that they couldn't even put a prism in my glasses. I had to wear what looked like window blinds. I mean, they were horrible lines. I was very weak. Sometimes I couldn't pick my head up. I had trouble swallowing. I had trouble eating. I had trouble just
your voice.
General weakness. And I tried everything. I took vitamins, different supplements. I tried walking every morning when I was a little stronger. But I never could get really better. Now, it's really strange because here we are in South Florida with millions of people in the 3 counties, never met another myasthenic.
Wow.
In 2004, we moved to a small town in Western North Carolina. And the first week that we're here, Bob notices in the newspaper that the local hospital has a Myasthenia Gravis support group that meets every month. So we started going to those meetings.
Now, let me ask you this, just to interrupt. Were you taking some medications at this time?
Oh, I was taking prednisone.
For 16 years.
Yeah, I took low-dose prednisone for 16 years. I was on Mestinon every 4 hours around the clock. One doctor even put me on a cancer drug called Cytoxin,
Wow.
which is, and I was drinking a gallon of water every day by noon so that it wouldn't poison me.
Right.
But and he told me, he says, I have a 100% success record with this drug, that it will put you into remission. Unfortunately, I broke his record because it didn't do me any good.
Let me ask you, did all of these drugs start with your diagnosis?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
So you weren't taking any medications up to that point?
No.
Okay.
I wanted to say that over the course of years, Fran saw, and I was with her, 11 different neurologists. They all said the same thing, that she would have a short life, she'd always be on meds, and never gave her any hope.
Nothing ever mentioned about diet.
And never said a word about what you eat, ever.
So here we are in Western North Carolina. We started going to the support group. And Chris, I saw some really sick people, because one thing that I noticed is everybody had more than one disease. Now, because I was doing my best to keep myself healthy, I fortunately didn't develop any other diseases, but they had heart disease, they had diabetes, they had cancer, and I learned really nothing. As a matter of fact, they were even serving chips and cookies and soft drinks at the meetings. But 1 month, they had a clinical nutritionist from Asheville come to the meeting. Now, I had never, like I said, I never heard anything about diet being related, okay? He comes in and he explains, here we're eating white meat, chicken and turkey and fish, thinking we're really eating healthy, boring, but healthy. He explained that even with something as harmless as white meat chicken, it compromises the immune system. And he recommended getting off all animal products. He recommended reading The China Study by T. Colin Campbell and Diet for a New America by John Robbins.
Great books.
Chris, I was the only one in the group who took his advice, and I got both books, read them cover to cover, and changed my diet at once. Now, a year or so later, the people who I had become friends with in the group had all passed away, not from myasthenia, but from heart disease, cancer, and diabetes, where I was getting better. My only problem was every time I tried to get off the prednisone, I felt really sick. I felt like the myasthenia was getting worse. So I had the good fortune of going to visit my son in California, and he took me to a friend of his who was the first plant-based doctor in Southern California. And he explained to me that my adrenals had shut down with all that prednisone. First, he had to build up my adrenals very slowly over a period of months. And then he took me off the prednisone 1 milligram at a time, very slowly. And in a matter of a short period of time, I was totally symptom-free, no medication. And it's now almost 16 years later, and my incurable disease has gone. And I've outlived 4 of my doctors.
That's amazing. Now, how long was this timeline from start to finish of when you said, okay, I'm adopting this plant-based diet until you were, off all medications?
It was several weeks because I think it was a couple of months because the prednisone had to get out of my
But
system.
that's a pretty short time, just a few
Yeah,
months.
maybe 3 months, whatever. But the point is, I never went back on any medications. I even get threatening phone calls from my insurance company saying, you must not be taking care of yourself because you are not going to the doctor every couple of weeks and you are not taking any prescription drugs. They wanted to send a visiting nurse out to the house to examine me, and they would give me a $25 gift card to Walmart. I said, no, thank you.
We need to get you on some drugs, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
There must be some drugs that
must
you
be
need.
something wrong with you. Now, and I was doing really well. And fortunately, a whole food plant-based doctor moved to our town. And the first homework assignment he gave us was to read Reverse and Prevent Heart Disease by Dr.
Esselstyn. Yes.
And I thought we were, like I said, we weren't eating any animal products, but I was using oil. And I cut out the oil because I didn't need it. And we both lost weight without even trying.
Yeah, we didn't have any heart problems.
No,
but
we weren't overweight, but
right.
it was just another bonus feature.
Oh yeah.
Now, I wanted to just mention, because I know your focus is mainly cancer. I had a small melanoma when we were living in Florida that I had removed in like 1990. And I had a multitude of basal cell carcinomas over the years because I love the sun. I didn't even realize it, but when I switched to a whole food plant-based diet,
Never.
they stopped too.
Never.
I think I may have had one in the last 16 years, one basal cell. Maybe not. Maybe it was just, So that's a big bonus. Now,
Yeah, that's remarkable. Not surprising. I love it.
right.
So now, Bob, did you get on board with her right away on this diet, or how did your health journey progress?
Well, it wasn't as dramatic, I think, as friends, but I was always a person. I was always slim. I always liked to keep in shape. I took up race walking, and I actually worked out with several young women who were Olympic hopefuls. So I was taught how to walk at this very unusual heel to toe kind of thing. In fact, it's an Olympic sport, more popular, I think, in Europe, but it's a great workout. And we could actually walk faster than people that were out jogging and running and so on. And we used the same path over and over and over again. And eventually, when they went away to train for the Olympic Games, I switched to a different location with a different surface. And I was doing 8-10 miles a day. And I developed a discomfort in my groin. No man likes to have that. I did go to a urologist, a local guy here in Hendersonville, North Carolina, where we live. And he examined me, and he said, I can't find anything down there, but I know that you wouldn't be here unless something was wrong, and suggested that I have a CAT scan done, which I really didn't want to do. But he said, I encourage you to let's do it. So I gave in. He called me back in his office a few days later, and he said, there's nothing wrong with your groin. You probably just pulled a muscle, but take a look at this. And he showed me the film on the wall, and there was a growth on the outside edge of my left kidney. And he said, I think that you need to have this removed right away. And I'm not skilled enough to do it. So I wind up going to a very well-known international hospital in Durham, North Carolina, the Duke Medical Center there. They have a very large cancer clinic. And they were great. It was a positive experience, even though it was sort of a negative one at the same time, but they treated me well. And I I went through what was called a cryoablation surgery. And at that time, I think that there were only two people in the United States, two doctors that could do this that had a record of success. And this fellow that did mine was one of them. I remember they had to fly in equipment from New York or somewhere to do this surgery. But the idea was that with cryoablation, they actually froze the tumor off during the surgery, and then it just dissipated. And they told me that they really couldn't do a biopsy before that because they were worried if it was malignant with the needle stuck in there, it could have spread unintentionally. So I waited a couple days, which was very difficult. It was like a 4-hour drive from our home to the medical center. And then they made an appointment to discuss the results, which that alone was like, drove me crazy, just the waiting for test results. I'm sure a lot of your viewers can identify with that. And so he came into the room and he said, well, we took 3 biopsies and 2 came back okay, but 1 was cancerous. And he said, Bob, you have renal cell carcinoma. And I was like, what did you say? And he repeated it again. And then I said, I'm sorry, Doc, please say that again. I don't know if I'm hearing this straight. I was in some sort of a semi-shock, I guess. And then it registered that I did have kidney cancer. And so on the way home,
but he did say, I got it. The typical, I got it all. But he said, this type of cancer is known to come back.
Yeah. So that 4-hour drive that I mentioned, we had the heart-to-heart, and Fran said, and I actually I felt this as well, that I had to do something. He didn't tell me to change anything about my life, any lifestyle changes, any change in diet or anything. But he said, come back in six weeks for another CAT scan.
6 months. Yeah.
6 months, and then another CAT scan. So on the way home, I told Fran that you just started plant-based eating, and I'm all in. And so we made a commitment, which I think is really important, to ourselves and to each other, to just go on a plant-based diet, not to even try it out, just jump in with both feet. And my reason was to prevent the recurrence of this devastating disease. Fran was about reversing the disease that she had. And that plant-based diet can work for doing just that, prevention as well as reversal. So for those of you out there, I just want to add that if you are on that plant-based journey, stick to it. If you have fallen off the wagon, get back on. And if you haven't tried it and you're thinking about it and you keep procrastinating about it, get on it as fast as you can. It will be the smartest darn thing you have ever done in your life. You will live. Here we are. Fran was supposed to be dead 2 decades ago. And here we are enjoying the third of our lives better than any time in our lives. So it doesn't matter what age you are. But we are just so happy with it, and we advocate for it. So that's our stories. We're sticking to it.
It's amazing. I love it so much. And I want to clarify. So when you started eating plant-based, Fran had not yet healed. I mean, did it converge right at the same time?
I think so.
Yeah, it was very close to the same time.
Yeah.
So Fran, you weren't to the point yet where you were off your medication even, were you?
Well, not yet, not fully.
Not fully.
But you were maybe a month or 2 in or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. But, it's just amazing. To us, it was a no-brainer. And we just know so many people that just absolutely refuse to change their diet to improve their health. And I don't get it.
I know it
We
is.
lost so many friends and relatives.
It's tough, and I also have seen. I see this all the time, and
Yeah.
I don't know why some people are not willing to give up certain food groups, but I do know that it is a very real thing that some people, they just won't stop eating meat or eating junk food or fast food. It's important to them, and I think, I've researched this a lot, and I do understand the reasons, but at the end of the day, if your life is the most important thing to you, if you want to preserve your life and restore your health, I would eat tree bark,
Yes.
right? If I had evidence that tree bark would
Aren't you
cure me,
glad you don't have to?
right, right. I mean, I would do it. It's like, so I think really getting clear about, what do you want? Do you want to live? Do you want to get well? And what are you willing to give up? And are you willing to give up everything to get well? And
Yeah.
for me, that was easy. And it sounds like it was easier for both of you. And I hope that we can continue to encourage people, not make anybody feel bad about their choices, but just encourage people to understand that you can change your life. And in doing so, you can improve your life and heal your body if you're just willing to take some massive action, right? And changing your diet from, the Western diet to a whole food plant-based, it's massive action, right? You're making a huge change, whether you realize it or not. And it's not just changing what, food you put in your mouth, it's changing what food is doing to your body.
Absolutely. When we first started with this over 15 years ago, it wasn't that easy because there wasn't that much available to, the resources. Now, my God, between cookbooks and YouTubes and all the information on the internet, like if I want to make a recipe, all I do is just Google that recipe, vegan, and I get the recipe and I leave out the oil. And now we've got air fryers and Instant Pots. It couldn't be easier.
Actually, I think Chris, speaking for Fran, she was like,
I was a terrible cook.
I was going to say an average cook.
No, I was
Not
below average.
Not that terrible. I mean,
We both worked full time. We were realtors in Florida. I hardly ever had time to cook, and it was horrible. Now I love to cook. I made it my hobby, especially with COVID. Staying in, I've learned to make all kinds of amazing dishes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's new plant-based cookbooks coming out all the time, including mine right there.
I see it.
There it is.
Great.
Beat Cancer Kitchen came out in mid-November, so it's basically been out almost 2 months now. But yeah, just contributing to the pile, right? And here's another one to throw on the stack.
There is no excuse anymore.
Yeah, people can't say, I don't know how to cook. Yeah. So.
Well, at the end of the day, right? You have to be willing to stop making excuses, right?
Yeah.
Because I have a book called Beat Cancer Daily, which is like a daily reader, daily devotional type book. And on one of those pages, I write something to this effect, which is, there's no limit to the amount of excuses available to you, right? There's no limit. You just have to decide to stop making excuses and start taking action, right? Because there's every excuse in the world is available for you to use, if you need an excuse, but your life's not going to get better, right? You either make excuses or you make progress. And it's just so wonderful. Your story's so great because, again, I think it's hard for people to believe. The big challenge for me and for you, for us, because we're on the same team here, the big challenge is just getting people to believe that healing is possible when they've been told by their doctor that it isn't, right? I mean, that's the one domino. That's the big domino that we're trying to knock over, is just to instill that little spark of hope that healing is possible.
Yeah.
Because once a person believes it's possible, then they start thinking differently about their situation. And then they start thinking, well, if it's possible, then what can I do, right? And then if they're thinking, what can I do? Then they start reading and researching, right? And learning things. And then hopefully, once they're learning things, they start doing things, right? They take action. And so all of that, all action is inspired by belief, right? That's why we do things, because we believe that in doing something, it'll produce a result that we want. So that really is the big challenge. And your story is so awesome because I think, again, I just took a long way around to get to this point, but it's hard for young people to believe this, and it's even harder for older folks to believe it, right? And there are people that are in middle age or beyond to believe that anything they do is going to make a difference in their life because they're in such a, their daily habits, their food habits and their thought habits and their lifestyle habits are so ingrained, right? They've been doing them for 40 years or 60 years. So,
and they're bombarded by commercials
and disinformation.
and all kinds of disinformation, even from doctors. The first thing that most doctors want to do is just give you a pill.
I tell you how we looked at it. This is sort of a way to reinvent ourselves, and anybody can do this at any age. Once we start eating clean like this, we started meditating. We started doing regular exercise every day. We started sleeping better. We were more conscious of other lifestyle strategies, and it's like a renewal of life. It is a wonderful feeling, and I think change is good. It's at any age. I think sometimes people get just stuck in the mud and they just don't want to get out. But boy, if you can get out and make some lifestyle changes that keep you healthy and active and vital, it's a wondrous thing. It's just great.
And Chris, we're beginning to see a little bit of a shift in the medical field with lifestyle medicine.
Yes.
It's going to take a while, but I think it's coming.
It's coming. Lifestyle medicine is growing. There are more plant-based physicians now than ever before.
Right.
And I've interviewed Dr. Scott Stoll, who founded the Plantrition Project, which is a large association of plant-based physicians. So really wonderful things are happening, but they're not talking about this on CNN, right? They're not talking about this on the nightly news. And so it's up to us. It's up to you and up to me and the folks in our little club, for lack of a better word, to keep spreading the word, because every other commercial is a drug commercial. Doctors are trained to prescribe drugs. That's what med school is for. They either trained to prescribe drugs or perform procedures or both, right? And these are things that generate the most money. Yeah. And they're just not trained in nutrition. They're not trained in diet and lifestyle medicine. They're not trained to help people heal. They're just trained to treat disease. And that's a problem. But I think the cracks are becoming more and more evident. And I think more people are getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. And they just need a little bit of encouragement, right? A little nudge, a little spark of hope, like I said earlier, from folks like you, from me, and just a little direction. And the thing that you said earlier that I wanted to touch on was, when you change your diet, right, and you get it figured out, plant-based diet, and you get it dialed in, then you realize, okay, wow, what else can I do?
Exactly.
And that's what you did, right? Then you go further.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, since we've been retired for over 25 years or so.
Because I couldn't work.
Yeah, and we spent most of our time volunteering. And then when COVID came in, we couldn't interact with other people, whether it was delivering Meals on Wheels or working at a crisis center, all these things that we were doing to keep active. So we started thinking, like, what can we do? We're in self-isolation in our home. What can we do that would benefit other people? And we could do that, at home. So I thought, I didn't know much about YouTube, but I knew it was popular, and I checked it out. And geez, I could name a song from the 1950s, and if I wanted the lyrics, I go to YouTube and it's there.
Yeah.
And so we started a YouTube channel. So it was our way of helping others by just saying what we do. And it kept my brain sharp as well, because it was a challenge and a big learning curve, but I nailed it. And it's been a very great hobby for us. And the response from people
all over the world.
It's about healthy aging. And of course, healthy eating, plant-based eating is an integral part of this. And it's just another way of, another extension of what we did by changing our diet. It just made us start thinking more out of the box, meeting new people, coming up with new ideas, and actually saying yes to life, and at every turn. And it just been wonderful.
You know, we know so many people whose whole life revolves around doctor's appointments, procedures,
Surgery.
taking their medication. I mean, there's got to be more to life than that.
We have this little saying that growing older does not necessarily mean getting sicker. You
Although
know?
a lot of people do believe that it's absolutely the way what happens.
But it's not. And we're living proof that it's not. So that negative thinking, it's not going to get you anywhere, because you can grow older and healthier. And actually, we feel that we reverse our ages. So we are really 108. Now we've reversed now, and we're in our 80s. We're doing great.
I was going to say you're in your 20s.
We're getting there.
Yeah, just keep getting younger. Well, you know, the medical industry has done a pretty good job of increasing lifespans, but they haven't increased the health span, right? And that's the years, that's the number of healthy years. And so, yeah, they can save your life. They can crack your sternum open and give you a quadruple bypass and buy you more time, right? And they can give you blood thinners and buy you more time. They can give you all kinds of medications that buy you time, but they definitely do not increase your quality of life. And they often just lead to more chronic problems caused by the medications and a progression of the disease that the medication is not solving. And it's a downward spiral. And I know in your age group, right, this is very common. And I even have, people that I know that are in their 50s and 60s that have already started down, right? They're already going down the spiral of health problems and medications and debilitation. And it's tough. It's hard to see people you care about go through that. But we live in such a remarkable time, right? Because you can get on YouTube, you can share your story, and you can encourage and inspire and inform people on the other side of the planet, right? And you can reach the people who want to be reached. And that's so cool, before really the age of the internet and video, especially video on the internet, you can put your story out there, and maybe if you write a book, you'll reach, people outside your little community. But now, we can reach people all over the world and help the people who want help. And so I'm just so grateful that you're doing what you're doing. We need it.
Yes.
We need is let's talk about your book.
What's the reason I brought it up earlier, Chris, about the YouTube, and I agree with what you're saying, and you have a huge following on your channel. We don't. We have a growing number of subscribers, but there isn't a day that goes by that we don't get comments or emails from people saying that, you won't believe this, but I took your advice. I went on a plant-based diet. My diabetes is gone. In 30 days, it's gone. And my doctor is like looking around. And by the way, most of the times the doctor doesn't say, well, what are you doing?
They just say,
I can't
do whatever you're doing.
Yeah,
Continue doing whatever you're doing.
Right. So it's been very gratifying. And it just reinforces the fact that it's not just us. There's a ton of people that are doing this, preventing disease and reversing disease just by making the right food choices. So we're just feeling good about it. We advocate other people to do it, and it's the feedback has been our fuel. It's been great.
Well, this has been really fun. I want to make sure that people know where to find you. So first, you've got a YouTube channel, which is called Young at Any Age. We'll link to that in the show notes. Do you have a website?
Yes, it's www.bobn, that's the letter N, as in Nancy, bobnfran.com. So
Okay.
it's bobandfran.com. And we have a lot of resources on that website. Everything's free.
One thing I want to mention is I have a lot of recipes on there because so many people think that all we eat is steamed rice and vegetables. We eat all kinds of wonderful, I'm really big into ethnic food, lots of spices. So there's all kinds of neat recipes.
I love the spices. I
We
love
do
spicy
too.
food. Yeah, that makes food interesting. I mean, I grew up eating the standard
Absolutely.
American diet where the spices were salt, pepper, ketchup, and mustard. You know what I'm saying? That was it.
That's all
Like
I grew up with.
everything tasted the same, basically. And then I discovered, in my 20s Indian food and fell in love with that Ethiopian cuisine.
Yes.
Of course, Thai and Southeast Asian cuisine. And I have a lot of those recipes too in my cookbook because we just love them so much.
Yeah.
But your book, I want to make sure we talk about your book, 101 Ways to Be Young at Any Age.
Yes.
Right. It's we were encouraged to write the book by our kids, and it was on our bucket list. And it's just a compilation of actionable short essays or short chapters on how you can actually reverse your age. These are tips to stay young, no matter if you're 28 or 82. And it's $12.95. You can get it on Amazon, and 100% of the proceeds go to fight child trafficking. And that's sort of a project that we have and had for many years.
One thing we didn't mention, you just mentioned Thai food. We spent 9 winters in Chiang Mai, Thailand, where we could walk to at least 30 vegetarian restaurants. Now there's even more there. It's amazing. They call it vegetarian because they don't use dairy products. And even if it has an egg on top of it, they can leave the egg off. So it's basically vegan. One thing I did want to mention is there's an abundance of vegan foods hitting the market now. It seems like every company is getting into vegan food and all the fast food restaurants. I just wanted to mention that vegan doesn't necessarily mean healthy. It's good for the planet and good for the animals, but plant-based is what we emphasize to be good for people.
There's a lot of fat in those big new burgers that are out. And so just be careful out there. It's best to make the stuff at home, we feel. And
we went to somebody's house for dinner this past summer, and she served something that was so delicious that I looked at the ingredients when I went to the store. It has 16 grams of fat in one serving. That okay, we'll skip that one.
It was
a store-bought thing.
I agree 100%. There's a lot of plant-based or vegan options out there in restaurants, but a lot of them are very processed, right? It's processed food, it's junk food, it's fast food, right? The vegan burger or the veggie burger, it's not healthy food. No. Is it slightly less unhealthy than the ground beef? Okay, yeah, maybe it's less unhealthy, but there's definitely a spectrum, right? And if you want to be in the healthiest quadrant, then eat whole plant foods, whole fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, whole grains, herbs and spices. Like, this is what you want to focus on. So thank you for bringing that up, because I also feel passionately about, it's nice to see plant-based options popping up in lots of places, but if you know, if you really want to focus on health and restore your health, you still need to avoid the processed, fake meats and stuff like that.
Right. Exactly.
Last thing I want to ask you about is you mentioned the organization against child trafficking. You want to talk about that briefly?
Yeah, well, we discovered there is a dark side to every country. As much as we love Thailand and the culture there, human trafficking is a big problem, especially trafficking of children into the sex industry. And it's a worldwide problem.
It's tied into poverty.
Yeah.
People are so poor that they actually sell their daughter.
So we started what we call the Bob and Fran ACT project. You can see that on our website if you're interested in knowing some facts about trafficking, illegal trafficking of children. And so we use the book as one way to raise some funds to support. And our answer to the trafficking issue is not just pulling them out of the brothels, which doesn't work, but to prevent the trafficking by educating the families and enriching, and the girls especially, educating them, providing education, building schools, providing health services, and trying to enrich these poor villages, primarily in Southeast Asia and across the world, to make people become less vulnerable to the traffickers.
Well, that is a incredible, noble effort, and it's very close to my heart. I've given money to anti-child sex trafficking organizations over the years, and will continue to do so. And yeah, it is really it's a deep and dark subject that I think a lot of people don't even understand. And it goes on in the U.S.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it happening in the U.S., but even more so in poorer nations.
Yes.
And thank you for doing that. That really is an incredible, like I said, very noble thing to do, and to focus time and energy and resources toward. Okay, well, I think we can call it a wrap. This was really fun. Bob and Fran, you're incredible. I want to ask you, is there a parting message you would like to give to folks watching, a message of encouragement before we sign off?
Yeah, I just would encourage everyone to try your best to live your best life possible, to get up and look forward to the day and make that day a great one. And you can do that if you're feeling good.
Right.
And the way to feel good is to eat good. So I just think that making a commitment and sticking to a healthy diet is the secret to longevity and a happy life.
Amen. Great advice. Okay, folks, and I know some of you are wondering, what do they eat? Well, you're just going to have to go to their YouTube channel or their website.
Let me just tell you what we're having for dinner tonight.
Okay, we can close with that, but I'm trying to give you a good
segue.
Yeah.
enforcement, right? You have to read the book, go to their website, go to their YouTube channel.
Absolutely. Really appreciate that.
You've been great.
What's on the menu tonight?
Since we really love Thai food, I don't know if you ever had drunken noodles.
I have.
Okay, the Thai name is Pad Ki Mao. And what I've done is I've actually taken recipes from restaurants we used to eat in all the time. And I kind of played around with it. And so I've got it all prepped. The vegetables are all cut and ready to go. And it is delicious.
Spicy, good.
Yeah, nice and spicy.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having us, man. We appreciate it.
It was really great meeting you.
Yeah, it's almost dinner time, so you're making me hungry.
I got to tell you that I love the picture on your website of your family. You have a beautiful family.
Where are you?
I am in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh,
we're not too far. Well, you can come over for dinner one night.
You still in North Carolina?
You must be getting some weather, huh?
We are going to get snow today. Yeah, we got some weather.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's a little bit of snow on the ground. Not enough. I want a little bit more. We don't don't typically get very much, but anyway.
Well, we're from Chicago originally, so let me tell you, we had all the snow we needed for our whole
A
life.
lifetime's worth, right?
Yes.
Thanks for having us,
Yeah, we
Chris.
really appreciate it.
Thank you both. Hey, everybody. Wasn't this fun? Isn't this encouraging? Please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and go subscribe to Young at Any Age, Bob and Fran's channel. And please share this video with people that you know. The world needs to know that nutrition can help heal disease. It's a key component of health, and that you can change your diet, you can change your life, and you will reap a reward, a benefit in a short time by doing so, especially if you focus on whole plant foods. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you, Bob and Fran.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Appreciate you.
See ya. Bye.